Aquí está RCF. RCF. Parece que el demo está ya. It's already on demo, right?
Yes, we are.
Okay. So tomorrow. Lo que sea de cada quien, RCF sí trajo mucho producto para su booth. Yo no sé si todo es nuevo, pero la verdad también todo se veía muy profesional el audio. Todas las cajas muy bien diseñadas. La verdad RCF trajo mucho producto.
I'll send you an email. Yeah, dude.
Acá también tienen amplificadores. No sabía que la RCF hacía amplificadores. Y también RCF, como les dije, también está sacando sistema con barras de audio. Estas barras de audio las van a poder ver en el demo que les voy a poner en este video. Ellos hicieron el demo de 3 productos y en este video se los dejo. Blanco también, en color blanco. Aquí están los monitores.
The sun was developing right there. At the end, I'm like, oh shit, now I gotta pee.
Yeah.
I just
Well, it's one of those things.
But you guys are
I want to say 160.
O la entrada es como las de mis bocinas Avante. La verdad no sé cómo se llama este tipo de entrada. Aquí está el papá de los pollitos ahorita. El subwoofer 9029. RCF tenía otro sistema de audio GTX en la arena, el cual se escuchaba muy bien, pero era pasivo. Este bajo es amplificado, pero los bajos que tenían en la arena de la línea GTX eran pasivos. Está grandote el bajo, está alto, como 4 pies de alto y 2 pies de ancho más o menos.
51.57 inches.
51?
Yeah, so 51 and a half.
And how high is it?
21.
21 inches?
Yep. And then this is 31.
31 deep?
Yep.
Nice, thank you. Ahí estuvieron las dimensiones de este bajo. Esto fue RCF. Bueno amigos, pues ahora me dirijo al booth de RCF para la demostración de RCF, ya que ya es la última que van a tener de RCF. Hello. Este es el cuarto de RCF. Y bueno, pues el video de la línea GTX del audio que tenían en la arena, tengo un video en mi página de TikTok, pero aquí en YouTube pues se los voy a poner más adelante. Y bueno amigos, pues aquí está a punto de dar inicio a la prueba de audio de las bocinas RCF.
What you just saw there was a short promotional video for the GTX series, the latest and greatest solution of a passive line array enclosure made by RCF. Can I get a little more mic, please, Zach? Thank you, sir. There we go. The GTX series is our highest end solution for professionals in need of a passive line array system. We just missed the final demo that took place in the arena across the hall over there. I'm sorry. I hope you got a chance to hear it. If not, we'll be back again next year. For this demo, we're going to be focusing on RCF products. My name is Jim Reed. I'm the installation manager for the US. My team back there, Zach and Josh, are doing a great job making sure I sound and look good this week. Thank you guys for that. We have quite a treat for you today. For the past several months, RCF has been holding on to a secret, and I'm excited to reveal the secret to you all for two reasons. One, we have a great solution, a new solution I'd like to show off to you, and the second reason is I stink at keeping secrets. So on a personal note, this is a big relief for me. Some of you may already be aware that several years ago, we released what was called the EVOX line. Compact system with a sub on the bottom, speaker on top. We're not the first ones to come up with this concept, but at the time of the release, we certainly raised the bar and scared a lot of people. And over the past several years, our competitors have tried to meet or exceed that bar, and admittedly, a couple of them did. We find now it's time we return the favor. So we are releasing a new series of EVOX we call the J series. As of this week, we are releasing two formats. The smallest one, which I will show to you first, is called the J9, highlighted here. Similar in concept. We have a two-way system here as it appears. We have a sub on the bottom and a satellite speaker on top, just like everyone else has. However, I said we're going to raise that bar. We are now introducing a new element to this system. We are adding a high frequency compression driver into the mix, making it a true three-way system. So now we have a low sub, 12-inch low frequency driver. We have 3-inch mid-size drivers. There's 6 of them in this column here. And now we have a 1.75-inch high frequency driver located somewhere in the middle here. We've also increased the amp size. Before we were working with a 1400 watt peak amplifier. On the J9, we now have a 2100 watt amplifier. We have two versions of the J9. We have the standard version, and we have another one called the J-Mix. The J-Mix has an embedded digital 8-channel digital mixer located on the back end of the subwoofer. You have full control of all the input sections of the 8 channels, as well as the mastering and auxiliary sections, so you have a complete mixer at your fingertips on stage. If you wanted to control any of this remotely, there's a brand new app that you could use to do that. Also Bluetooth compatible as well. We made some cosmetic differences, if you're familiar with the EVOX system. Our previous generation had a standard speaker pole that separated the sub from the top, and there was a wire that connected the two. We did that for a reason. We wanted to make sure that it was reliable, and we didn't introduce any fail points. But over the past several years, we figured some things out, and I think we've came up with a great solution to get around that. As you can see now, we have a solid pole here that divides the sub from the top. Let me see if I can take this off without hurting anybody. Hold on. There we go. There. Thank you. I need all the encouragement I can. It's been a long week, guys. As you can see on the inside, there's 4 robust copper pins there. You all see that? Why do we have 4 pins in there? You only need 2 lead wires to drive a speaker. Well, say something happens. Say you drop it, you break a pin, some dirt gets wedged in there. Say your little one shoves a graham cracker in there for safekeeping. You never know. The point is, if any one of those pins happens to fail, the adjacent pin will take over because the show must go on, right? There's also an accessory that expands or extends this pole section here. So if you need to bring that high frequency driver up higher or lower for certain applications, you have the ability to do so. You have 4 positions. You could even take this top speaker and put it all the way flush with the sub, so it's sitting right on top of that. Why would you do that? Well, I find it's a good drum monitor at that point. You got the drummer, he's got his own subwoofer, and the top speaker right at your level, right? A bunch of other accessories. And I think I've talked enough about this particular model right here. What do you say we play a couple tracks through here, and we can see how this sounds? Zach, it's a different set. J11. Why do we call it the J11? Nobody knows. However, it does make a good setup for a Spinal Tap joke, I guess. It does carry over a lot of the same attributes as the previous model we just listened to. It still has a 12-inch low frequency driver. It still has 3-inch mid-size drivers, and it still carries over that 1.75-inch high frequency driver. However, there's just more of it all. So instead of listening to 6 mid-frequency drivers, we now have 12. Instead of using a 2100 watt amplifier, we're now working with a 3500 watt amplifier. That's basically it. It's just going to get bigger and better. I'm not going to fluff it up any more than that. What do you say we now listen to the J11 so we can compare the two systems? Very popular enclosure of ours for multiple reasons. It's price, it's performance, and as you can see, it's format, nice and compact. It has two 6-inch low-frequency drivers in it. It has a single 1.75-inch high-frequency driver located in the middle there. It does have a rotatable waveguide, so it's not a one-trick pony. We could use it for multiple applications other than just a speaker on a stick here. We can rotate that waveguide, lay it on its side. Now we have a front fill on the front edge deck of the stage. We can mount it to the wall as an outfill maybe. We can mount it to the ceiling and be used as an under balcony fill for a theater or a church. We're going to be pairing the NXL14A with a new sub underneath. It's called the sub 18AX. As the name suggests, this has an 18-inch low-frequency driver in here. Excellent sound reproduction at high volume. It's one of my favorite 18-inch active subwoofers that RCF has released to date. It's got a couple other tricks under the hood as well. On the back section of that amplifier within the DSP, we have some new technology called the Advanced Crossover Engine, also known as ACE. What that does essentially on the back of that amplifier, there's a digital DSP display. Within that, there's a library of the majority of all of our active two-way enclosures, which means when we got here earlier this week, for example, we put the NXL14A on top of the subwoofer, we went to the back of the sub and dialed up that enclosure. The processor took care of the rest. It took care of the output needed between the top and the sub, it took care of the crossover point, took care of the EQ settings, it took care of the time alignment of the top speaker compared to the subwoofer. You can control those parameters if need be, because I know you all like to break the rules. If you have the speaker slightly in front of the sub or slightly behind the sub, you can also adjust the time alignment there to keep everything nice and keep the phase intact. So let's take a listen to this pairing. But before we do, I just want to drive the point. The point of the ACE technology is a whole mix matching technology here. So no matter the top speaker that you choose to use out there in the field, because we have many different applications that call for different types of top speakers, you can now just dial up quickly the preset for that top speaker, knowing that you're going to set up that particular combination to make sure it sounds as good as possible, as fast as possible. So let's hear this particular combination of the NXL14A on top of the sub 18AX. Sorry. I know we already talked about the EVOX system earlier before, but I'd like to circle back to that for a minute, if we could. There's a lot of great things about the concept of this compact, all-in-one system here. You know, it's lightweight, it's already pre-tuned for you, low cost, serves a lot of purposes. But there's an inherent problem with this design that many of you have run across. And the thing is, what you get is kind of what you're stuck with for that event. Sometimes the party gets crazy. Sometimes things need to get louder. Sometimes you need a little bit more low end. And if you went out with just that system, not prepared for that, you're kind of stuck. We're here to answer that problem, so we came up with a solution. I talked earlier before about that whole ACE technology, the whole mix match thing, whatever. So for the first time in our industry, what we're doing is we're incorporating our larger subs to have presets for our EVOX systems. So now you can go out with your EVOX system and have an LF extension cab alongside of it for those crazier parties. So what we're going to do real quick, we're going to go back and we're going to listen to the EVOX J9 again, but this time we're going to incorporate the new sub 15AX, which already has a preset for that EVOX system. Essentially turning this 3-way system that I told you about into a 4-way system, all perfectly tuned, so you don't have to worry about damaging the integrity of the system as if, say, as before, people were just bringing extra subs with them and putting them in front of everything. And that you're adding crossovers on top of crossovers, you're damaging the phase response of everything, and you just spend a lot of money on a system that you just destroyed. So let's hear the EVOX J9 real quick. Maybe we'll play some more bass-heavy tracks along with the sub 15AX.
Straight from the Johns, I get it down. Yeah, I'ma bring that wow. Let's make a monument for